Hi, Eric. How are you today?
I'm great.
That's good to hear. I know you were just sharing with me you recently went on a walk down the big hill because we're on the top of the hill right now.
I love these hills. It's beautiful views.
I know, it is. Beautiful views, but you definitely get a workout in.
For sure.
Yeah, which is good. Then you don't have to go to the gym, I guess. Eric, well, I'm really happy to be speaking with you today. Before we dive into everything Composable, could you give me a little bit of background on yourself and your current role?
Sure. I'm a managing director with VShift. We're a New York City-based digital agency and a Netlify partner. As far as my background, it's really quite diverse. I've been a venture capital-backed entrepreneur, where back in the early days, I pioneered a lot of what we now know as MOC and interoperability and cloud and software as a service. But I've, throughout my career, held head of digital or chief digital officer roles for very large companies like JP Morgan, Prudential, Deloitte, KPMG, and others. And I use that experience to consult to large regulated industry clients today and how to work and adopt a composable business strategy and a MOC technology architecture.
That's incredible. It sounds like you were really ahead of the curve, especially when it comes to everything composable.
Composable, I think you can think of it as a modular approach. Mm-hmm. And so I've been a problem solver throughout my career, and modularity or breaking things down and then assembling them again has been really what I needed to do as an entrepreneur, as a head of digital. And that's, gone throughout my career. And at VShift, we've certainly embraced decoupling as a major part of digital transformation. And so when MOC came onto the scene and companies like Netlify had their start, we were fully aligned in lockstep with the types of services that you offer.
That's so great to hear. So Eric, can you recall when you first heard about Composable?
Yeah, it was probably at two different phases. Very early on, I had a head of digital role spanning 150 different countries with a public website, knowledge management capabilities, and a client collaboration intranet or extranet of sorts. And I had adopted, out of necessity, a modular approach to packaging up services and delivering it in what we call a composable. So this is in the early 2000s for a very large known company. Fast forward to my joining VShift about 6 years ago as a managing director. Our focus has been decoupled digital transformation. Mm-hmm. So really breaking apart and using that same modular approach. And that was around the same time that Netlify had, I think, raised its Series A. So really around that time frame that it all clicked to say, look, this business problem solving through composability and decoupling and these services-oriented architecture MOC all kind of came together at the same time.
It would be it's so fascinating to your vast experience with everything composable and looking back to even your story you just shared, how, at this large company where everything was modular, at the time it wasn't known as composable, but now looking back, it's interesting to hear that as an innovator, it was what was being used for many years prior to now, which, now we call it composable.
Absolutely. I think across industries, there's been this notion of there's a better way than the all-in-one or the monolith or tackling it all at once. A lot of engineers will call it separation of concerns. Mm-hmm. With the regulated industries, the non-IT executives that champion the work that we do, they look at it as de-risking. Digital transformation has such a high failure rate, largely because they approach it as many companies as an IT endeavor, and they work with a big vendor, provides all-in-one or big systems integrator, and we try and break it apart into what are the business problems, who are the audiences, and what packaged up services can we bring to bear fairly inexpensively, but more importantly, with a great deal of flexibility and speed to market.
Flexibility and speed to market.
Absolutely.
It's huge. Eric, how has Composable changed the way that you approach your clients or customers' digital challenges?
Absolutely. We just talked about the pretty significant risks. So first and foremost, we try and identify what are the risks that can be real big issues. And we introduced very early on this notion of breaking the opportunities of problems into its parts, and then trying to work with the best available composable solution stack, not just individual vendor technologies, but really taking the vendor names out of the equation and saying, okay, you have a lot of content. We're going to need composable content or headless content. Boy, there's a lot of search and discovery. We're going to need search as a service. We're going to need authentication as a service. There's maybe not a lot of presentation, personalization, but there is a need to personalize the orchestration and the connectivity to disparate sources. So we try and get out of any sort of name checking and really start defining a solution that really addresses the headache that the client has and pretty significantly the risk. Because composability is in theory swappable, it makes the decision making much easier for the client to say, okay, let's go tackle that problem. Let's go fix that issue. And we're not locked in to a vendor for a long period of time, but rather we're bringing the best mock with composable technologies to bear with the advising of our trusted consultant, in this case, my company.
That's amazing. It's one of those things where you listed some different services, from authentication and a few others, but another part of lowering the risk I'm sure you've seen is we don't know what we don't know, meaning as the businesses scale and grow, they're going to, of course, need other services. And with composability, being able to have that flexibility and confidence to be able to integrate services typically quite seamlessly is a massive win.
It absolutely is. The big change management activity that we go through is really helping clients understand that we're talking about the speed at which we can integrate these parts it's in hours and days.
Yeah.
They're used to hearing quotes and getting proposals that this is going to take 6 months. This could take a year. And we say, no, you know what? This is a fundamentally different way of working. Granted, there's more parts that need to be assembled or composed, but they're willing to do that for a really important reason. Beyond the flexibility, it's the autonomy. And I heard this with your head of engineering talking about giving business users agency, giving them the empowering them. And with large organizations, fundamentally what composability does, beyond significantly accelerating the time to market, making the parts come together or composed much more seamlessly, it's empowering them and liberating them to make the decisions to go to market with a new digital product, with a website, or with a new campaign that needs a digital experience.
That's great. Empowering. What are the top 3 benefits that your customers have seen from going composable?
Yeah. The most important one that we hear from our clients, and I'll just summarize them. One is operational autonomy, operational flexibility, and that enables go-to-market speed. So GTM, getting a new site or digital product in market quickly, and that's usually tied to revenue or competitive market share. And the last is cost savings. So operational autonomy, speed, and savings are the 3. But by far, what we hear is the most important one is the having a different operational model, one that enables the speed and the cost savings. And that is, a little bit more on the organizational side that the technology enables, meaning you have to have a governance committee, you have to have a product-led organization. In many cases, you have to shift some of what might be front-end engineers from an IT organization to a digital marketing or digital product organization.
Wow, that's great. So why do you recommend Netlify as a solution for your customers?
Yeah. I think Netlify as an innovator very much embraces the same mindset of being a problem solver, of recognizing what's going on in the business landscape, which is there's an ever-changing diversity and heterogeneity of capabilities. And so, this notion that Netlify is agnostic, that there's always interconnectivity with more and more of the diverse tool sets out there, that Netlify ultimately is able to pull it all together to solve these problems.
That's great to hear. Eric, thank you so much for taking time to sit down with me today. I'm really excited for the conference tomorrow, for the full day of talks, and look forward to connecting with you then.
Thank you so much. I appreciate sharing my thoughts.